A question I saw floating around the community as soon as the Plaid Model S was announced was, how does this not completely butcher the existence of the Tesla Roadster and how that's in their timeline? Well, there's a few key differences here to remember, but the truth is, I think a lot of what they announced about the Plaid Model S should just get you even more excited for the Tesla Roadster, because if these are the specifications with the new batteries and the new vehicle integration with the battery pack being more structural, the 4680 cells, and how that allows for extreme performance and range, that means that the Tesla Roadster specs we got way back in 2017, they're probably only going to get better. So yes, the truth is the ability to buy a vehicle that can do 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds has now substantially gone down in price. While $140,000 still seems like a lot, beforehand when it came to the EV market, if you wanted to get 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, pretty much the Tesla Roadster was going to be the only way to do that. That started with a base price of $200,000, and there's a good chance that your tires have a lot more to do with those last tenths of a second than it does the actual torque and acceleration the vehicle can offer. But the fact that back in 2017 it was technically possible for Tesla to create a two-door, really compact Roadster that could do 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, but now they can get a full-size luxury sedan like the Plaid Model S, which, keep in mind, Elon said when they were testing it, it could bring back the third-row 7-seater option, which I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up scrapping that, but still gives you perspective on how much bigger the Model S really is. It's bigger than the Model 3 and of course bigger than the Roadster, and the fact that they're now able to get that vehicle to go 200 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds does mean that acceleration and performance did technically just get a bit more affordable. But the impressive thing that I originally thought was going to happen, but sadly a lot of you guys turned me off of the idea, was the insane range. That was the big thing I was not expecting to see, because so many of you guys in the comments were telling me, well, Drew, when they add another motor, that's not good for efficiency and that's more power draw, and Plaid Model S is mainly going to be about performance, okay? It's not about range. It will probably have comparable range to the Performance Model S, so around 350, maybe 400 with the increased battery pack size, but don't expect it to have an insanely good range. And y'all were wrong. I'm happy to say that on occasion. It beats the Lucid Air, which I think a lot of people were excited to see, because for a while there, people were like, okay, Lucid has Tesla beat when it comes to energy efficiency and range, and that's kind of cool. But Tesla, as I predicted, is quite competitive, and they like beating expectations, and they like knowing they have the best range electric vehicle available, though should be worth mentioning the Lucid Air deliveries are rumored to start at the beginning of 2021, whereas the Plaid Model S won't officially be until end of 2021. So that kind of means Lucid Air will have the highest range EV available on the market for a while. But anyway, the Tesla Roadster is a much smaller and more low-to-the-ground type vehicle than the Plaid Model S, and that means that handling and how the Roadster performs at the track, which yes, Elon said they are bringing it to the same track that the Plaid Model S was tested at. Later in next year, they're going to bring the Roadster there and see how it does. And a lot of people are also forgetting that the Roadster is going to have an optional SpaceX package with air cannons on the back, which should allow it to essentially cheat with a lot of other production vehicles, because it will be able to kind of break some laws of physics, because it will be able to accelerate at extreme scale by not just utilizing the tri-motor system on the inside, but also having the same type of air cannons that are strapped to Falcon 9 rockets when they're re-entering the atmosphere. Having that type of acceleration, in my opinion, means that the Roadster, you should expect 0 to 60 times to be even less than 1.9 seconds, as Tesla originally promised with the prototype. So that could mean we end up seeing 0 to 60 in 1.5 or maybe even 1.1 seconds, as theorized by a few people speculating the numbers and looking at what could be possible with the air cannons on the back. And Model S Plaid, they're promising 200 miles per hour, and typically Tesla always beats their advertised specs, so I imagine the Plaid Model S will probably go a little bit over 200, but not too much. And the Tesla Roadster, way back in 2017, was still promised to go over 250 miles an hour, so top speed, you'll still have an advantage there with the Roadster as well. And worth mentioning that back when they unveiled the Roadster, that was before they had developed these 4680 tabless electrode cells, and also developed their whole battery pack as part of the structure of the vehicle now, which simplifies parts and allows for greater energy density and all the range benefits they advertised at this event. That means that the Tesla Roadster range is also probably going to be a lot higher than Tesla originally promised. My opinion, it's very likely that the production version of the Roadster, once that becomes available, hopefully next year, that would be great, but also 2022 is probably more realistic. The range could exceed exceed 700 miles. And while that may sound crazy, the truth is if they advertise 620 miles in 2017 and they have all these new battery improvements and implementations with a 200 kilowatt hour pack they can pack in the Roadster, going from 621 to 700 percentage-wise isn't actually that big of a jump, especially considering, you know, the Model Y, when it was unveiled in 2019, they said the dual motor would get 280 miles of range. Then when the production dual motor Model Y came out, it was more like 316 miles. So that's pretty much like a 10% boost in range within 1 year between prototype and unveiling. So knowing that there's going to be more like 4 to 5 years between the Roadster unveiling and the production version, that could mean easily adding, yeah, another 10% range, and there's all kinds of range enhancements that are going to be capable with Tesla's new cells. So imagining a 700 plus mile range on the Roadster is totally possible. And once we start talking about 700 mile ranges, now that 520 mile range of the Plaid Model S doesn't sound that crazy, now does it? Even though that's pretty much going to be the best range EV on the market once it does become available, and the performance on it is insane. And I think it says a lot about the alien technology Elon was referring to with the Plaid powertrain, which so many of us were assuming, you know, you're not able to add a third motor and then have really great range because that's added weight, it's added complexity, it requires more power. But now seeing that using these new cells and adding this extra motor is able to achieve insane performance and great range, whereas on vehicles like the Lucid Air, if you want to prioritize performance, you do have to sacrifice on range a little bit. I think that says that there's kind of this energy efficiency breakthrough with the tri-motor system. That's likely how they're able to achieve the 500 plus mile range on the Cybertruck, which we're kind of used to hearing about, so it's not that impressive. But the truth is, Cybertruck is so much larger than the Model S. The fact that it's carrying all this added weight and all this extra space and cargo room with that giant exoskeleton and that stainless steel design, the fact that they're able to still push that much a car over 500 miles, I think is even more impressive than the Plaid Model S. But now knowing of the energy efficiency breakthroughs they've had with the batteries and with the Plaid Model S specifications, that means that the tri-motor Cybertruck suddenly feels a lot more believable, whereas before this event it felt a little insane that they could charge $70,000 for a truck that goes that far. Now feels somewhat doable. But Tesla Roadster will absolutely still be in the hypercar segment, and the specs will beat the Plaid Model S, I'm absolutely sure. So there's room for them to coexist if you want the great range and great performance, but also want to take the whole family with you and also want to go to the grocery store and have plenty of room in the back. Roadster won't be as good as a daily driver, whereas the Plaid Model S, you're still going to be able to take it to the track and have an amazing time, and you're still going to be able to go huge, amazing distances. And with the Tesla supercharger network, I think that gives it all kinds of advantages over the Lucid Air. Even if you say, well, 517 miles versus 520, they're pretty much the same. Yeah, but if you have access to V3 supercharging across the entire United States, that's a whole new level of road tripping. Whereas the Roadster, I think, will be good for a lot of, you know, retired people that don't have a lot of families they want to bring around with them, and it's not going to have a ton of cargo space either. So it's mainly going to be great on the track, whereas Plaid Model S is kind of a master of all trades. Though there will still be plenty of metrics where the Roadster beats it out when it comes to 0 to 60 time in those air cannons. The handling on the track is probably going to be much better, and the range will be insanely good for an EV, which is why I can't wait to see Tesla talk more about it. If you could pick one, if you're in the market for one, please definitely do let me know. And I'm very curious if there's any of you Tesla Roadster fans out there that are now seeing the Plaid Model S and saying, you know what, I'll save myself 60 grand and probably get my vehicle a little bit sooner, because it sounds like the Roadster might not even come out next year. I hope it does, but there's probably a better chance of the Plaid Model S launching than there is the Roadster. So did this change anyone's mind? Please let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.